Brandon Halvek, and I'm going to show you how you can post to the Reviews WordPress website. So first I'm going to log into my WordPress account. All editors should have received an email with their username and directions on how they can set up their own password to access the Reviews WordPress site. If you're following along with the WordPress Instructions and Style Guidelines document, you'll know the first thing we need to do is set up our dashboard. So to do that, we're going to go to Post, then Add New. Once we're into the new post screen, go to Screen Options and select all of the boxes as I already have selected here. Make sure you have Excerpt and Yoast SEO. We'll be using both of those, as well as categories and tags, then likes and shares, and simple WordPress membership. We don't really use those as much, but it's good to have there on the screen. You also note that all of the podcast posting options are unselected, but if you are posting a podcast, have those up. I'm showing you just how to post a normal article to the website, so for the purposes of that, you don't need those podcast boxes selected. Once you have the screen options set, as we do, we're ready to start actually adding to this post. The first thing we're going to do is go into our Google Doc. It's been cleaned of all comments, and select, copy, and paste the headline. The next thing you need to do, if you're following along with our instructional guide, is select the category. That's on the right side of the screen, and this is a story about Bilal Nichols, so we're going to select sports. After that, we'll go into our photos. This is one of the more tricky parts of the process, but once you get it down, it really is pretty simple. Most of the time we'll use this large 720 photos code, but occasionally we'll have stories where we want to incorporate more pictures or pictures of different sizes. So the thing to keep in mind is that when we post photos, we're not posting them directly to the WordPress site. We actually first post them to Flickr, where they're stored and hosted, and then we take it from Flickr and embed it into our website. So everyone, as you can see here, has access to our Flickr account with a username and password. So I'm going to go into Flickr and log in real quick. The username is review1882 at yahoo.com, I believe. And once you log in for the first time, you can use the stay signed in, and it's not too hard to get back in. And then R3 V13 W1882. That's when the review was founded, if you didn't know, I believe, probably. And once you're into Flickr, the main place to go, as you can see, that favicon to show that you're logged in, is to the photo stream. This is our current system right now. We don't have everything organized very, very well. So in the future, again, this might change, and all of these WordPress instructions might change. But for the time being, you'll go into the photo stream and find the photo that you're going to post with the story. So the story I'm using as an example is this Bilal Nichols story. This is the photo that was already uploaded, but if the photo has yet to be uploaded, you'll click the upload button here first, and then drag and drop those files into the Flickr account. Once the file is uploaded, it'll give you an option to add a title and a caption. Typically, the caption will be whatever the photo credit is. So for this picture, courtesy of Delaware Athletics, or for a picture that someone on staff has taken, it'd be Minji Kong / the review, or whatever the photographer's name is / the review. So once that picture is uploaded, as it already is for the Bilal Nichols picture, this is where you really got to pay attention, and we're going to grab the code. So for this, I'm just posting a simple big picture on the top of the story, and then I'm going to have the body of the story underneath of it. So first, I'm going to take this large 720 code and copy and paste it into the story. Now you'll see inside the code, inside those the tags, it asks you to insert Flickr HTML code for large image. So this is where you go back to Flickr and open up that photo that we just posted and come down to here to the share button. Once you're into the share, you want to get into embed, which will allow you to pick the size of the photo. Now for a large photo, you want to pick the size that is as close to 720 as possible. And for all of the other size photos, if you're posting medium or small, you want to get as close to 320 in the case of medium, or 1500 or 150, in the case of small. So for this, it's already on large, 800 by 450. That should be good. And I'm just going to copy and paste this code that it gives me. Once that code is copy and pasted, I'll come back into where it asked me to insert it and simply delete that and copy and paste in my code. So now it looks a little bit more messy, but it's accomplishing exactly what we need it to do. It's embedding that code from the Flickr website, embedding that photo into our website. Now in the credit tag, you'll see this span class equals credit. It lists photographer's first name, last name, / the review. This is actually a sports photo, so it's taken from bluehens.com, which they do give us credit or permission to do. So I'm going to type in courtesy of Delaware Athletics. And then it also has an area for me to put the photo caption. Typically, editors will work together and put together a document with all of the photo captions for the week to be used both in our print layout and online. So I would go to the caption document, which I should probably have here for issue 11. And we'll find the Bilal Nichols caption and just copy and paste into there. As you're doing all of this code, all of this copying and pasting, it's important to keep in mind that you have the text highlighted, the text editor highlighted. So I actually did not do that, but that's fine. I'll just copy all of that. If you make that mistake as I did, go back to text, and now it's in text. So visually, it shows the picture. But you want to stay in text. Stay in text throughout the process of uploading the photo. So right now we have that photo uploaded. If we want to make sure that we did it correctly, that everything's displaying correctly, go over to preview. It's important that you kind of stop and check as you're posting so you can identify where errors might be and correct them before you get too deep into the post. So here we go. This is the preview of the story, and the picture is displayed properly, the caption, the photo credit. They both look good. Next thing is the byline, which we also use a code for. The byline codes are in this document as well. This was just a single byline. So I'm going to come to the for bylines code and copy and paste that right under my photo code. And you'll see in the code it asks for the first and last name of the reporter. In this case, it was me, Brandon Halvek, and for their staff title. So I'm the assistant sports editor. And again, I'm going to go to preview just to make sure that looks okay. It does. And then the last thing I need to do before I can move on to the body is going into this a ref code, which is a link code, and replacing first name plus last name with my name. And what that will do is it allows the text of my name to actually serve as a link to, it goes to a search of my name, which kind of operates as an archive of what the author, the writer, has previously reported. And I would suggest, as a managing editor, you make a document sharing with your fellow managing editor of everyone's byline so that you do not have to always edit all of these parts of the byline. You can simply go to that doc, grab Brandon's byline, grab Caleb's byline, whoever it might be, and paste it into the story. So I'm saving, and then I'm going to preview it one more time before we move on to the body of the story. And again, everything looks good. There's the name, assistant sports editor, and the photo is in place. The next part is copying and pasting the body of the story into the doc, which is pretty simple. I'm just going to make sure I have everything from this story, and we'll copy and paste it in. One thing that sometimes goes awry in this situation is if you have a paragraph break. Where's that story? A paragraph break between pages. So if we went like this and I didn't hit enter again, when we put this into the WordPress, it'll appear as though these paragraphs are right up on each other, and you don't always notice that because they're separated by the pages in the doc. So just make sure as you're writing you have that extra space. So if it's like this, enter, enter, and now it'll appear properly in our website here. So again, I'm going to go to preview. Our preview tab is always already open, and you can see the story on a quick scan. Everything looks like it's properly spaced out. there really aren't any errors with the story. It's already been thoroughly vetted all through the process of editing. The next thing to do is add tags. These are typically pronouns that are associated with the content of the story. So for this, Bilal Nichols is an obvious tag. I also spoke with Brian Ginn, former coach at Delaware, Frank Moffitt Jr., his high school coach. You can see I talked to him before that popped up. Delaware football is referenced. And you could do a couple of more. So I'll maybe do Delaware Athletics, and Matt Nagy. He was also referenced in the story. After that, we're going to write our excerpt. Now, this is something that we haven't been doing a good job of the last couple of years because typically it's been hidden in that screen option. So if you don't see the box for the excerpt, which should show up right under the SEO and revision history, make sure that excerpt is selected on this screen options tab at the top that we did at the beginning. And in this excerpt bar, I'm just going to write one sentence kind of supporting detail or summary of the story. So for this, I'll go Bilal Nichols, or keep it in active voice, the Chicago Bears selected Bilal Nichols in the 5th round of the NFL draft. So that will appear on the website. If we go, when you're in WordPress, it hides the top bar. But I clicked on sports, and you can see, well, this story was already published. But if you go to this older story, for example, it displays the headline with the excerpt. And it looks a lot cleaner than kind of what we'd been working with before, where it's taking just the first couple words of the article, which typically is the photo credit and or the byline. So go and do that excerpt. And then we're almost done. A couple more things. A focus keyword. This is in the Yoast SEO, which is a plugin we use. For this story, Bilal Nichols would be an apt keyword. It's going to a lot of time be the same as your slug, maybe a little bit more of a phrase that is associated with the story. But the purpose of the keyword is to kind of index the story for search engines so that when people search for Bilal Nichols in this case, this story will hopefully show up. And we're almost done. So the last thing we need to do before we hit publish is just go in and preview the story once more. The photo and credit, caption, all look good. Byline is strong. There are no extra spaces below or above the byline. The story is all there. And the last thing we'd have to do is hit publish. I'm not going to publish this because this story was actually already published. But that's really the process of posting to WordPress. If you have any questions or anything, always ask another editor or Caleb and I, and we'll be happy to help. This document also outlines in Word and image form that whole process that I just described to you.